Okay. All right, we are live streamed. We are recording. Sorry, everybody. I did not get the, I had the invitations go through last week or the events go through last week, and I didn't update the events for this week. So you will see that now. Hopefully you are seeing it live on Facebook. Also, the Zoom link is the same all the way through. So if you got the Zoom link from last week, you can just save it somewhere and then jump on to the Zoom link whenever you want. Let me let people into the Zoom room here. So you can jump on to that same Zoom link whenever you want. So if you got a Zoom link from last time, just feel free to save that Zoom link somewhere, and it will be the same link every time. Sorry, guys, I'm just letting people into the Zoom room. Okay. All right, so you guys have had some awesome experiences with the challenge last week. It's fantastic. I love hearing from you all. Excuse me. Keep sending me your feedback and your notes. I love hearing from you all. Sorry, having trouble getting into the Zoom room there. Okay. And this week's challenge is going to build just a little on, well, that's not true. It's going to build a lot on last week's challenge, but we're going to take a different angle for it. And we're doing these, last week's challenge and this week's challenge is going to set you up for next week's challenge. Just going to give you a little preview of that, because I want you, when we move into next week's challenge, which is a sugar detox challenge, and before that sets off all of your restriction and deprivation alarm bells, right? I can't do that. Tried to do that before, it doesn't work. Before it sets off all of those alarm bells, I want you to keep in mind that we did last week's challenge and we'll do this week's challenge as preparation for how to manage emotionally next week's challenge and what to be aware of. So that's coming down the pike. I will post the challenge document, just the worksheet to remind you what we're doing in the comments in this day one of this week's challenge Facebook video. I will also post it in Mighty Network if you're watching it on there. So you'll be able to find everything. Okay, I think that's the housekeeping stuff. We are live. Everything's live, good here. Okay, I don't see any comments to the contrary. Sorry, I also set it up on my phone because the only way I see your comments and things is through there. Such a strange thing, this sort of, you can stream live on Zoom onto Facebook, but then I can't see it and I can't see your comments. And anyways, all is well. Okay, so from last week, I wanted to read you one of your comments. I just want to read it out loud, and then I'm going to build today's challenge around this comment, or this week's challenge around this comment. You said, I've been listening in and engaging in this process from the beginning while simultaneously listening to Brain Powered Weight Loss on audiobook. In that time, I have sensed a calmness and increased tranquility around eating food choices, and my behaviors around food. Before, and most likely still, I have a fear of food. Food seems to equal weight gain for me, or just a really bad negative relationship that has never found an easiness or understanding that food is actually just fuel. But I always seem to fuel poorly. I'm taking note of my emotions, practicing mindfulness, and really trying to ask myself, is it worth it? And right now, I have had a chain of consistency. I have not experienced this in months, possibly years. The frenzy that I would feel around food has lessened, and I am working on making sound choices mindfully. I am highly thankful for this opportunity to learn about my thought processes and how to adjust my behaviors in this everything in excess world that we live in. Looking forward to next week's challenge. Okay, I wanted to point a couple things out in her comment. Just by, of course, listening to the book, but also doing this work, asking different questions, having a different dialogue and conversation with herself around food. She was able to put together a chain of consistency. Now, mind you, there will likely be a time where that, chain breaks, and then we have we overeat something we didn't want to, or we eat something and we didn't like how we feel afterwards. The chain of consistency is not meant to be there so that it is 100% perfect all the time. That is never, ever the goal. The goal is to cut down on the number of times that we engage in behaviors that don't make us feel good, right? And create a longer chain so that the space between when we engage in those behaviors grows and grows, right? So it's not, perfection is never the goal, but it's about creating a longer time where we feel really consistent, which then proves to ourselves that we have the ability to do so. So I wanted to point out that for most of you, your old pattern, your old way of thinking, your old way of doing things, right, is to say, I don't like how I feel, right? I don't like how this feels. And so therefore, I'm going to enter whatever diet, restriction, deprivation. I can't do this. I can't have that. I won't eat this. I won't eat that, right? In order to combat the way that we don't want to feel. And that leads us into this week's challenge. Historically, we have set in motion our plans for ourselves based on how we don't want to feel. I don't like the way I feel in my clothes. I don't like the way I overeat during holidays. I don't like the way I'm always, eating sugar. I don't like the way, whatever. It leads with, I don't like this, and therefore I'm going to do that. And my argument to you, or what I want to present to you today, is that this is the wrong way to be looking at how we want to create change. If we keep the focus on how we don't want to feel, then all of the solutions that we come up with are connected to this I don't want to feel that way feeling. Now, I know I've said it a couple times in this series already, and I will say it again. The whole reason why I built The Shift, which opens again in January, is to help you understand all of these concepts in great detail, in great depth. So, the science of what happens biochemically, the reason that we don't want to follow the energy and vibration of don't, what energy and vibration is, how all of that fits together, putting a plan together for yourself to do that. The shift was created for that. And so if I'm dripping concepts to you that aren't fully formed, it's because, I'm talking with you for 15 minutes a day here, and we don't have the capacity. Plus, that was the entire reason the shift was built. But just your big takeaway is we cannot create solutions for ourselves from this place of negativity, from the focus of what we don't want, and expect to have a really positive result from it. It's not the way vibration, energy, attraction, quantum physics, universal alignment, it's not the way it works. And that's one of the biggest problems with, I'm not going to say the words dieting, because I think those of you who know me really well know that I believe that dieting is truthfully just a mindset. It's not an actual act. Dieting is a mindset. The same person can decide to eat an appropriate number of calories for their body, and it's 1,500 calories or something, and feel completely satiated and feel completely satiated and feel good about that decision, feel like they're doing something that feels supportive. And the next person can eat the same exact number of calories and feel restricted and deprived. It's not the actual act of how much food you put in your body, it's how you relate to it. Most of you know I feel that way. So when I talk about dieting, first of all, I really tease apart that emotional connection. But when we make decisions about the type of food we want to eat, to include or not include, based on that feeling of dieting, then we end up perpetuating that throughout the whole dieting process. And that's what, kind of creates that yo-yo cycle, right? So I'm going to oversimplify it, is we can't make the decision about what we're going to do out of a place of pain or fear, right? So this comment said, Before, and most likely still, I have a fear of food. Food seems to equal weight gain for me, or just a really bad negative relationship that has never found an easiness or understanding of food as just fuel. So what she's saying there is somewhere along the line, there was a neural connection of fear of food. And so then when she's eating in a way that makes her feel uncomfortable, and her body feels uncomfortable, and now she goes, well, what do I do about this? And remember, she's got this neural pathway of fear of food. She's going to go out and make decisions that's going to perpetuate that fear. So if you are already afraid of food, and then you go out and you say, okay, I have to eat keto, and I can't have this, and I can't have that, and I have to be in ketosis, and I can only eat these high fat things. I can't have any bread. Can't you hear the perpetuation of the fear in her solution? So she's come to the realization of the problem from fear, this neural pathway of I fear food. And then from that place of fear, she goes out and finds a solution for it, which perpetuates the fear. That's what we're trying to erase here. That's what we're trying to eradicate, because as she mentions, and as I want for all of you, what you really want when you say, I want to lose 30 pounds, as I mentioned last week, that's actually not very interesting or important. I know you think it is important or interesting, but when we go a layer beneath that, what you're actually saying is, I want to feel better. I want to feel peace around food. She's saying, I want it to feel easy around food. I want to have an ease around food. I want peace. I want peace in my body. I want peace when I look in the mirror. I want peace when I'm with my friends, whatever. You want to feel better. And so this week's challenge is all about, what do I want to feel? And I'm going to have you break it down in a more tangible way, kind of moment by moment, decision by decision throughout your day. And the way we're going to play with this, I love using the word play, because that's a story for a different day. I won't get sidetracked. And the way I want you to play with this is any area of your life. And what I want you to do, and in your worksheet, you'll see a couple of these, stimulating questions. I want you to think of, how do I want to feel in this situation? What would I like to feel on the other side of this? How would I like to feel about a conversation, a situation, a decision, something that's nagging at you? So just by way of example, let's say that you are having a hard time at work and there's an email exchange going around that's making you very uncomfortable. Our habit is to get caught up in that discomfort and say, oh my gosh, and you reply from this place of I'm afraid or defensive or whatever's being triggered in me. That's the place from which I make my reply. An incredibly powerful and usually more successful line of questioning to ask is, how would I like to feel if the outcome of this felt good? How would that feel like? What is my goal here? What would I like to feel, right? And so as a side note, I do this all the time when I'm working with couples in relationships, and they'll come to me with fights, right? But this, and can't he understand this? And can't she understand that? And when you start to rearrange the line of questioning to, what is it, if this was resolved and you felt good, what would you like to feel? What is the outcome that you're actually working towards here? And not once, not one time when we really tease that apart has the partner said to me, well, I just want to be right. I just want to be right. That has never been the response. Always it has been something along the lines of, I want to feel seen, or I want to feel heard, or I want to feel like he understands me or she supports me, or whatever it is, right? And so we do the same thing with food. And I got a little off track here, but we do the same thing with food. We do the same thing with diet. And it becomes, I don't like this size or weight that I am. And so therefore, I have to go on this restrictive diet in order to change myself. Wrong line of questioning. We start with the I don't like, right? I don't like the way I feel. I don't like the size that I am. I don't know. And we switch it around and we say, okay, how do you want to feel? What is it that you'd like to feel with food? What is it that you'd like to feel with your body? What is it that you'd like to feel on the other side of this? And you start to get really clear about how you would like to feel. And then we reverse engineer the process and we say, okay, is this decision I'm about to make with food taking me closer to or further away from that feeling? Now, this is a big one. This challenge of what do I want to feel, without getting, without overinflating it. This is where you can apply this to every area and every aspect of your life. And I hope you do for the rest of your life. I do this all the time, right? I retrain my brain to stop thinking about and focusing on how I don't want to feel. And I ask myself, how do you want to feel? So to bring it all back down to earth, that's what you're going to do daily. How do I want to feel? If you catch yourself thinking, I don't like to feel this way, how do I want to feel? I don't want to eat this way. How do I want to eat? I don't like how I feel after this. How do I want to feel? And it's just a redirect of the neural pathway to help knock you back on a path towards where you want to go. So you're not consistently trying to get away from yourself. And that's a really, really big distinction that we need to make, is that most of us act in ways to try and move away from pain instead of towards pleasure. So before we can move towards pleasure, we have to understand what that is. What do I want to feel? Oh, and now I can move towards it. We're really, really, really good at talking about what we don't want to feel. I don't want to feel like this. I don't want to look like this. I don't want to have this weight. I don't want to have these pants. I don't want to, okay, but what is it that you do want to feel? And that's where we want to put our focus this week. So tomorrow I'll talk about the paradox of holding on so tightly. I think that was enough today, but I will just say one other comment that I wanted to focus on, and I'll kind of tie this together and wrap it up. She says, I don't want to jinx myself, but I swear I feel a little different already. Even when choosing to splurge a little due to that voice in my head, come on, it's your vacation, you deserve a treat. I asked, is it worth it? And then I decided to go ahead and eat it because I was too tired to sit with the uncomfortable feelings of not knowing what else to do. We'll address that later. Anyways, while I was eating, I noticed, hey, this isn't really all that good anyways. Small observation, but maybe it's not as worth it as it felt like before. I just need to come up with some better options for soothing myself when I'm tired. Okay, so much cool stuff in that comment. We will talk about what a beautiful revelation she made was, I decided to eat it anyways because I was too tired to sit with the uncomfortable feelings of not knowing what else to do. That's a really key point, right? That feeling of discomfort comes up. I don't know what else to do. So I'm just going to eat that thing because I'm too tired or I don't feel like dealing with that discomfort. We'll put a pin in that and talk about that later. But the first sentence she said, I don't want to jinx myself, but I swear I feel a little differently already. You are not jinxing yourself. This is for all of you. If you keep going down this path and keep exploring your behaviors with food with curiosity, with an open mind, and dropping those hard and fast critical food rules, which we're going to talk a little bit about tomorrow, what you'll find is that you open up the space for more information to come to you. When we stop squashing and say, nope, I can't have that. And the brain goes, yes, I can. No, I can't. Yes, I can. No, I can't. And you're off on this fight. You have squashed the ability for that part inside you to come up and tell you, is it worth it? Do I want it? How much? When am I done? All of that stuff is squashed because you're engaged in the battle of can I or can't I? And so when we stop that battle, different information starts to come to the surface, and she's feeling a little unsteady going, I don't want to jinx this, but I think I might feel differently. You do, even just that tiny little spark of, wow, this feels different. Maybe there's a different opportunity here, will grow and grow and grow and grow some strong roots. Okay, I feel like I'm a little all over the place on this week's challenge. So let me bring it in for you. I want you to start to get clear about every time your brain goes to, I don't like feeling this way. I don't want this. I don't like what's happening, to switch it and redirect it to, what do I want? What do I want? Instead of, and you guys, this is such a powerful question, because oh man, it's so hard for me not to go deep into this stuff, but we know that our brain is wired for negative thoughts. And so it automatically is bringing you the worst case scenario of things. And we can combat that really quickly by asking a different line of questioning. What do I want to feel? And oftentimes when we say, what do I want to feel? It will course correct on its own, or we'll find that we're not that far away from that feeling. And just the brain telling us, I feel bad. I don't like this. I don't want that. I don't want, it's so automatic that we don't ever stop and question it, that when we do, we find that where we want to go is more easily attainable than we think. More on that later. But your job is to ask yourself, what do I want to feel? How do I want to feel instead? And later on this week, furthermore, I want you to start planning for how things would feel if they go well. In other words, one of the things we're going to do before Thanksgiving is, if Thanksgiving Day went beautifully, what would you have done? We're going to reverse engineer it, right? If you went to bed on Thanksgiving night feeling satisfied versus overstuffed, what will you have done during the day? So that's kind of a hint about some of the things you can be thinking about. Okay, I went long today. Thanks for joining me on here. I don't see any questions in the live. Let me just check. I don't see any questions. If there are questions, they're not showing up for me. Let me just check here. Okay, we're good. I will post the challenge worksheet in here and on Mighty Network, and we'll get going this week. How do I want to feel? That is your challenge for the week. Thanks for joining me. I will see you tomorrow, same time, same place.